beautiful Monday morning, and we are going live on Facebook and YouTube because this is a very important conversation that we need to have just to unpack some of the things. And we see your questions coming through on 061 798 1075. We're chatting to Mick. Mick is an engineer, he's a business owner, he owns his own solar company. And he's got a wonderful track record, really a fantastic track record with regard to that. Because there are some people out there that say, well, how hard can it be? And I'm going to do it. And I've spoken to a couple of different solar company owners who've said one of their sources of income is by fixing up somebody else's mess.
Ooh.
And that's a situation you don't want to be in. Because you know,
dangerous.
Exactly. But let's get to some of the questions. One of the things, Mick, is if I'm looking to just run my lights of my house, for example, me having a special needs daughter back with load shedding, you know, if it's nighttime especially, the moment the lights go out, she would have a little meltdown. And that's quite traumatic. And it can be traumatic for anybody.
Yeah.
So just running the lights of your house, what are some of the options there?
So some of the options obviously are to get those light bulbs that that'll have their built-in battery.
Yes.
And they just stay on when the light goes off.
Yeah.
Obviously, the other option is to have your little portable lights.
Okay.
You know, But if it's about the actual lights in your house and you want to feed those, you really have to do that through your house's distribution board.
Okay.
And then you are wiring an inverter and a battery into the electrics of your house.
Okay.
As obviously there's those little what we call inverter trolleys.
Oh yeah.
Those boxes on wheels, they're quite heavy. You can wheel them around and put them in your lounge or in your kitchen
to run your
and
TV.
then you run extension leads from there.
But that's also hazardous, eh?
It's hazardous, it's awkward. You're now running an extension lead down the passage to the light that you want to have on.
Okay.
But that's standalone. That's not wired into the electrics of your house.
Okay.
You know?
Yes.
And you can do that. You don't need an electrician to do that for you.
Okay. So there is that option.
It's that option, yeah. Not the convenient one, but obviously the more low cost one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense, Mick. And then the other question that we also received was, what about the fee Eskom or the municipality charges for rooftop solar panels? And does this counter the savings?
I think the listeners asking about Eskom's proposal to have like a connection fee to your house, where at the moment the user or the listener would just be paying how much electricity they use.
Okay.
But the connection fee would mean there would be like a base fee just to have a connection from Eskom. Whether you're using a lot or a little of electricity, you would add to that. Now, Eskom's been talking about that. Now, for us here in Cape Town, the reality is we're already paying a connection fee.
Yes, I've noticed that.
we all have a 285 Rand a month connection fee.
Whether you use electricity or not.
Whether you use just a little or a lot.
Yeah.
So we in Cape Town wouldn't really feel that, but customers who are in other municipalities or who are connected directly to Eskom, if that kicks in, they would feel that. So, I mean, the calculations that I do for my customers, and most of them are in Cape Town, factor that in. You know, how quickly is solar going to save for you? How much is it going to save for you over time? Those are factored in, and it's still very worth it.
Definitely. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Then we got a question from Myanne. Myanne, great to have you tuned in and listening again. She says, can Mick please mention who do we contact for a solar geyser?
So there's a lot of companies out there. She can contact me directly on my phone or WhatsApp number, which is 060 976 9009. We could install a system for her, but I can also point her to others, depending on location and so on. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's as easy as that. Okay, fantastic.
And then, Mick, you also spoke about it, or you mentioned it earlier on. We spoke about geysers, and somebody also asking about the whole gas geyser situation. What is your take basically on using a gas geyser?
So I'm not an expert on gas geysers, but I know, the way that they work is they'll heat the water at that moment that you use it. They've come a long way since
the day when you had to kind of stoke it with something.
you know,
I remember that. Yeah,
that technology has been around a long time and it really works well. And I think the modern ones are really good and effective in heating the water. The one thing I don't like about them is that they're still using carbon fuels. They're using gas. And in the context of needing to preserve our planet, we really need to be burning as little gas and coal and petrol and so on as we possibly can. And so for me, solar is definitely the preferred option.
Okay, fantastic. Then another question coming through. Thank you, Leanne, saying, good morning, Jonathan and Rachel and Mr. Mick. I'd like to know, putting your geyser off, does that save electricity? And I actually would love to know that because, there's that thing of, okay, well, maybe if I just switch it on, 45 minutes before I'm going to shower, then it's good. And then the moment, I switch it off again, I've heard varying things. Some people saying it definitely saves electricity. Other people saying, no, you're wasting.
It will save electricity, but not an awful lot. Okay. So because it's like, kettles versus a hydro boil. Those hydro boil things,
those things that are on the wall.
They just keep the water at practically boiling all the time.
Yes.
That will use more electricity over time because you're keeping it at that high temperature all the time and there's losses.
Yes.
And in the same way, if you keep your geyser at a high temperature 24/7, you're losing some electricity or there's losses.
Yeah.
So it does save you if you only have it on for a short time.
Okay.
And then use the heat in the water.
Yeah.
But it doesn't save you an awful lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not going to change the dial. You're not going to move the dial in a big way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the time that it takes to then boil it heat the water from like zero temperature.
Sure. If you want a hot shower and your geyser's been off,
like if
then
it's winter,
make sure you plan when you want to do your hot shower.
Yeah, very important. And go for it.
Yeah, but could we maybe also recap a little bit, Mick, from what is available? So like from the basic options to what we can do practically.
From a solar perspective, So the one thing, as I said, the recap is a system that is dedicated to just your geyser is the sort of entry-level way of doing it, but it's hitting the biggest consumption in your house. The biggest consumer of electricity is your geyser, and that'll give you savings immediately and very noticeably and over time.
Yeah.
Then if you want a whole solar system for your house, now we're talking, a bigger money, but we're also talking bigger saving long term, definitely. And obviously we're talking the fact that you now got the convenience of electricity that you're generating, which will cover you for load shedding.
Yeah.
And the key benefit in my mind, always, we're helping to save the planet for our children and future generations. So a solar system that serves your house, that has solar panels on the roof, an inverter, which is technically the heart of the system, and a battery, that's really the investment. If you possibly can, you should do it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, and this was also for me a big reminder, we get comfortable, it was it 10 months or so without load shedding, and you get comfortable and you kind of like, this is great, and you kind of like, you forget. We can also forget now that it's so warm and hot what it was like in winter. And this past year's winter was particularly cold, rainy, cloudy, whatever else like that. And obviously one sees a dip in solar production come the winter months because of the cloud cover and things like that.
Yes.
But it's still working.
Absolutely, yeah. So in Cape Town, you've alluded to the difference, how much solar energy can be produced in summer is quite a big difference to in winter.
Okay.
If you're in Johannesburg, many of our listeners may not be in Johannesburg. The difference between summer and winter is not that great.
Oh, okay.
But in Cape Town it is, and so when we design systems, we take that into account, to try and find the right sort of level balance between not producing too much for summer, but also having enough for the winter months. Yeah.
Okay.
And Mick, another question that somebody's asking actually on our WhatsApp number. So thank you so much for getting through to us. 061 798 1075. Angela says, what happens in winter with the solar geyser, like you mentioned? Is it still connected to the normal electricity, or will you end up with just lukewarm water in your geyser?
No, whenever you put in a solar geyser, and there are different ways of doing it, but you would always have electricity backup from the grid. So yes, in winter, you're getting less of the warming effect from the solar, and you're needing to supplement from the grid. In summer, I mean, at my house, 7 months of the year, my geyser doesn't get any additional electricity inputs. Yeah.
Sure. And testimony to that, somebody saying, good morning. I had a shower and taps, instant shower and taps installed in my home a few years ago, and automatically I'm saving hundreds of rands every single month. So that is fantastic. We're running close to 8 o'clock, so we're going to have to wrap things up. But one other thing was the thieves are stealing the copper of the solar panels. What can we do? Sure. That's a hectic one.
Yeah. I mean, there's many things to say about that, and I can't possibly cover all scenarios. But
Yeah,
I mean, the short answer is, in the same way as you're safeguarding the rest of your property from thieves with fences, locks, and so on, there's things that one can do to help secure your solar panels.
Okay,
yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
And then, Mick, people are asking for your details. So do you mind sharing that with us, please?
Yeah, so you can find me, Mick, at online at solidlightsolar.co.za. We have a website, we have a Facebook page, we're also on LinkedIn, but directly people can contact me on phone or WhatsApp on 060 976 9009.
That's 060 976 9009, or just do a search for Solid Light Solar, solidlightsolar.co.za, or 060 976 9009. Mick, it's been great hanging out and getting some of those questions out of the way. Really so informative. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure to be here and chat to you.
Thank you. So there we go. Mick, owner of Solid Light Solar, joining us in studio just to talk about how we can save electricity. What are some of the most expensive things that consume the most electricity? And so great.